Howdy, y'all. I'm Jace, and I'm a sex addict. Each week, I come on and answer questions about my life as an addict or a person in recovery, or just somebody out here trying to figure out what it means to be sexually healthy. A question I get often is with regard specifically to women in recovery or in addiction. People often ask, "Isn't this a male problem? Can't only men be sex addicts?" Well, of course, the super easy answer to that is no. I mean, that to me that seems like a silly question. Why would only men be able to be addicts in this particular regard? Of course, that was the long held misconception about addiction in general. I mean, when there was recovery programs starting out for alcoholics, that was a male problem, and it was very stigmatized for women to go. I've had people, even now, decades later, in my program of recovery, say it took them a really long time to find their way here because they were actually told, you can't be a sex addict, you're a woman. That is ridiculous. Absolutely, we can. We can do everything you can do, including be addicts. Does not discriminate. So yes, there are definitely female addicts. They are not in equal proportion, at least in the meetings that I go to, the recovery program I work, they're not in equal proportion to the men, not by far. Normally, if I'm in a meeting of, say, 30 or 40 people, there might be two of us, or sometimes three. The most I've ever been in a room with at the same time in a mixed meeting was, I believe, five. And that was a special circumstance. So they are certainly, we are in smaller proportion, but I don't think that has anything to do with there being fewer women sex addicts out there. I think we're really up against some big hurdles when it comes to seeking help for addiction and specifically sex addiction. One, I mean, there's just a huge stigma with women in sexuality in our country in general. Somehow it has been put upon us that we are the bearers of morality and the weavers of moral fiber of the nation. I don't know why, and that certainly isn't fair at all, but that is something that has existed for, much longer than I could possibly know. And so that makes it hard. That makes it hard to even talk to anybody about anything with regard to sexuality. And then there's the stigmatism of addiction as well, just in general in our society, that it's some moral failing, it's some issue of being, uneducated, weak-willed, of, bad upbringing, selfish, all of these things, when in actuality, it's a brain disease. You don't look at someone with diabetes and say, if you just had better morals, you wouldn't have diabetes, or you wouldn't have gotten cancer if you were a better person. No, you don't say that. This is a brain disease, and it can affect anyone and everyone, right? So yes, there are fewer women in recovery, but I don't think there are fewer women addicts. That being said, I often get asked by women in recovery, there's a lot of problems up against us with regard to finding the same resources that men receive in program. For an example, in my program, we work off of a system of sponsorship, and it is very difficult where I live, and with some other women I've spoken to across the country as well. It's very difficult to find a sponsor as a woman because there aren't that many in the program, for one, and there aren't that, with fewer there are fewer resources. That means there's a smaller community, a smaller pool to draw from as far as sponsorship goes. So there are other options as well, and we're exploring that now as the female community of sex addicts in Austin begins to grow. I have a sponsor. He is a gay male. After approaching some of the leaders of the community here in Austin about this problem of, the issues of being a woman in these meetings, I was approached by him afterwards, and, he said, "You're not on my arousal spectrum at all. So if you'd like, I can, we can meet and see if we want to do a sponsorship together." And, it took me several weeks to decide on that. I wasn't sure if I was comfortable with it. I had never been truly honest and open and intimate with a man before, and I kind of had this weird thing where I didn't want that first man to be my sponsor. So I fought it in that regard. But what really was dragging me down with all of this is that I wanted my sponsor to be my new best friend. You know, I was at a conference, who knows how long ago, and I heard a woman speak, another addict, and she was talking about being a sponsor. And, she's like, I am not your friend. I am here to take you through these steps, take you through this program of recovery, and, do my part to guide you with my own experience, the things that I've done. I'm not here to go on road trips or be on your Instagram and all these things. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I've been waiting for. I want that new bestie. And that's not the case. And, it was presented to me that we seek guides in our life, and they often aren't, where we're looking or who we think we're going to find. So I'm very fortunate. The person that I work with is, someone very well respected in the community here. He's been an amazing sponsor. He does not take any of my crap, and he's been very patient and really just continuously shows me examples of, not bringing judgment, not bringing expectations, putting the responsibility on me where it belongs. It's been a really good relationship, but not everybody's comfortable with having someone of the opposite sex, even if they are not attracted to the opposite gender. And not everybody has that option either. So some other ones that exist are co-sponsorship, working with other women in the program who, you can kind of work together to get through the steps. You can also do that through things called step studies, where that's a group of people working to get through the steps together. I also have an accountability partner that I talk to every day. That's a really great way to maintain fellowship and accountability within the program. I talk to the growing group of women here in Austin every single day through a private chat group, and we have fellowship night and day. Someone's there pretty much 24 hours a day. So that's something that we've started here that has been a game changer in my own recovery. And some other options are, there's a really big online community. So if you're able to access the internet and you're comfortable with email exchanges and everything, there's a huge community out there. So that's a really good resource. And another are their phone meetings as well. There are ways to get sponsorship via the telephone if there's not someone in your area. So I know how daunting it can be and very frustrating, especially when seeking help in recovery for sex addiction. But don't fret. There are others who have done it before us and who have laid out paths, and it's growing. Have some faith, have some patience. It is growing, but check out those resources. If I can help in any way, help you find something in your area or nationwide, whatever it might be, please contact me through my website, suddenlycelibate.com. Also on there are resources about sex addiction, breaking, myths, help for partners, all these things. It's none of my advice, don't worry. I got nothing to offer in that regard, but I have found things from experts across the world to bring those together into one site. There's also a whole section on healthy relationships, healthy sexuality. Also, none of my advice, don't worry. I don't know any of that, but the site's filled with all of those types of resources. You can also contact me through there with questions in particular to this subject or anything. Keep them coming. And again, that site is suddenlycelibate.com. My name is Jace. I am a sex addict, and I hope y'all will stay curious. I'll see you next week.